Hi there. I recorded this and I had a real-time process going on here and I completely lost all of my sound, so here's a voiceover. The local Bangor, downtown Bangor Association has decided to do a free art exchange, and so I wanted to participate. It's where you drop off a piece of art and then you can choose a piece of art. So I had these wooden panels in my stash. I'd had them for many years and never used them. And I decided I wanted to use my jelly plate prints to create a new piece of art, similar to this flamingo. However, the flamingo I painted with acrylic, and I don't think I'm going to be doing this when I start, and I ended up not really doing that. And I was debating whether I wanted to use the back, which would look like a frame, or use the front where it would be bigger. And I decided to use the part where it looked like a frame because it would look like a complete painting. So I cut up a piece of Canson XL watercolor paper to the correct size, and I pulled out a bunch of my prints. All I thought I knew was I wanted a blue vase. I wasn't sure what I was going to put in it or how it was going to look when it was done, but I wanted a blue vase. And I'm looking at those pieces right there to be the background. I like how there's iridescent like diamonds in the background. And I thought that would be cool to kind of look like wallpaper. So my first step is to apply that to the little piece of watercolor paper. I'm using an Oohoo stick that is blue. In hindsight, I would have used something else. I don't know what though, because I wanted it to be instantly dry, but it was a little too dry because it's very warm in my art studio this time of year. I don't have air conditioning directly in this room unless I put it in the window, and I didn't want to do that this year. So it's very dry. It dried really quickly, which meant some of the corners lifted. So I had to go back in and add some more stick. I'm not concerned with it sticking over time because I did add some Mod Podge around the edges, and I have sealed it with a gloss varnish. So I think that's gonna keep it all in there. I hope. I mean, it's free art. I hope whoever pulls this out and takes it home absolutely loves it, and I hope it lasts a really long time. But you know what? It was free art, so I hope you enjoy it for a really long time. But I used an Oohoo stick, so you know, a lot of collage artists use that and they love it. However, I think they're also finishing the piece with something over top to keep it all together. So, and I did that. So the next step is to look for a table. I decided I want the vase to be on a table, and I wasn't quite sure if I wanted to do more orange, my favorite color, or if I wanted to do something a little bit different. So I pulled out some pieces that have just very painterly looking pools of paint. So there's like yellow and orange, and then there's this one that has it's like heavily stenciled with many colors, and I thought that could look like a tablecloth. That could look interesting. So I'm going to get a straight edge and get rid of that white so I can see exactly what it would look like on the background. And that's a contender, but it's just kind of muted. I wasn't sure which color blue vase I wanted either, so I cut a piece out to mimic a vase. That's not, that was just a sample. And the color there just didn't quite live up to what I wanted. I thought that also could look like a tablecloth. And that was a contender because I thought it would be subtle. So I'm cutting a straight edge so I can get an idea. I'm trying all kinds of different things. And this is just a small batch of gel plate prints that I have. Like, ooh, that's shimmery. It's not really a definite pattern, like not a small pattern that would be on a tiny little table like this. But it is a pattern, and it's a subtle pattern. So I thought, ooh, that might work. Not necessarily with that blue, but that works. I end up cutting a piece off of that and putting it down for my table. I really like that section there where it looks like a flower. So I thought that might be where my vase lives. So I'm going to cut a piece off. First, I'm going to line up and make sure I mark where it's level looking, where it's straight across. I'm gonna use my pencil to make a mark there so that I can, when I glue it, I know where to put it. Again, the Oohoo stick, which I should have gone further down, because I put it down further than that stick. You know, I don't, this is only my second collage, people. It's only my second collage. And I'm winging it. And things might have been a little bit different, but in the end, oh my gosh, I love it. I absolutely love it. And I think it's going to be a long-lasting piece. And I have learned from my mistakes. So now I'm deciding to, see, there we go, Oohoo stick in the corner. Now I'm deciding which blue I want to use for the vase. The one I just threw over on the side there, that was more like, I think, a phthalo blue, and that's a Prussian blue in my hand now. And on the book page, I think that's more like an ultramarine. And I decided I really liked that Prussian blue, so I cut one side. And I thought, yeah, I can freehand this. It's going to be great. And then it looks like that. So what I did, camera cut off, what I did was I took the side that I liked. I found the side that I liked, which is this side here. And I flipped it over and I drew a pencil line and then cut it. And then I cut the top and the bottom. Now this is a really big vase, and I'm trying to decide what I'm going to put in the vase. It matters because, I need to have room. I need to have room for it. So I decided, well, I'm going to figure that out by cutting out some stems and maybe some leaves, but first some stems, and putting them back there to see what I think. I'm also thinking I don't want to put a lot of stems in there. I want it to be kind of simple. So see, that's too tall, because once I put a flower on that, it's going to be touching the top of the frame. And then I was like, well, it probably shouldn't be centered. The rule of thirds means I should probably put this over on the side. And I think that was a great idea. I really liked that. And I'm pointing out how I like those little diamonds that are in the background. They are like an iridescent, shimmery diamond. So when I put the gloss over, it's possible that is going to kind of get hidden a little bit. But actually, I'm going to stretch over and pick it up. Okay, you can definitely still see it. It's very subtle, but it was subtle to begin with. So I think it works. Then I decided I need a leaf. I'm thinking tulips. I'm going to make some tulips because they're super simple. And that means I need some substantial leaves in there. I was thinking it was kind of a vase holding cut flowers, but now I kind of think maybe it's a potted tulip when I look at it. And I'm determining the vase is too big. It's too big. Need to make it smaller. Vase or pot, I don't know. It needed to be smaller. And I'm so happy that I did that. I was going to round the bottom there. So that was just a little sample. So I'm thinking, okay, well, what if I take the vase or pot that I already created and I just shorten it up so it's like a little short fat one. And I'm going to try that. And that just didn't make me happy. It just didn't. Plus, I didn't do a great job of cutting it. That one makes me happy. Even though it's a little wonky, that's the one. That's what I kind of had in my mind when I woke up and thought of doing this project. So here's another leaf. And I'll tell you, these little suckers move around. It was kind of hard. They're slippery. There we go. And I thought, okay, that's a little too tall. It's a little too samey. Maybe if I add a little triangle to make it look like it's bent over, and I absolutely adore it. That was exactly what it needed. So here I am cutting out just white paper. Actually, I think there's blue on the back of them, but to make just simple tulips, and I didn't overthink it. I try my hardest not to overthink it. And look how cute those are. It's so cute. Two that are getting closer to opening and one that's a little bit tighter, not quite there yet. I just think it's so cute. I am thinking about whether I want to add a shadow or both to the table and also to the tulips, and that's what I'm pulling out there. I'm trying some different textures and colors. White tulips tend to have an ivory or a green tint to them, so I'm trying to think of, what I want to do. But before I go that route, I am going to try to pick up all of those with my vase. I just put some Uhu stick down, and yay, it worked. It worked, but I'm not going to trust just the Uhu stick on this one. I am going to use some Mod Podge because I really wanted those babies to stick. I didn't want them to come up while I was working, and I didn't, again, it was so hot up here. It was like 80, and I had the windows closed and the fan off because I wanted it to sound great. And then I didn't get any sound, but I digress. I wanted them to stick really well, and the Mod Podge did it. I'm a person that tends to work small. So like my sketchbooks were small and such. And while I'm really happy I chose this little piece, I couldn't do a big piece for the art exchange. It's just a small box you put them in. But when I'm working with these teeny tiny little pieces, I'm kicking myself like, I always do this. I always do this to myself. So I actually did go and get some tweezers at one point to help me. It reminds me I need to clean my jar because it has Mod Podge in it now. I don't want to use that with watercolor, with my watercolor brushes. Okay, so the next step, and while I'm cleaning all this stuff up, I'm thinking, what do I want to do with these tulips? How do I want to make them not look so bland? So I pulled out some more prints that had more of a yellowy green to them. And I thought, okay, maybe I can, let's see, there's tweezers. Maybe I can put just a little petal on them as an accent. But man, that was hard. So I pulled out, or I cut a new petal to try. And I got some paint. Liquitex and golden. There is like that's a cadmium yellow hue, I think. And that's like a teal color. I don't remember which one it was. I'm sorry. And I'm going to try to mix those up and make a pretty subtle green. See, there's those little petals. Those are cute, but they're not quite what I had wanted. And I was afraid that I wouldn't get it, considering how tiny I needed them to be. So see that right there? That's pretty. Just simple. And then I thought about adding some yellow, and I did not like that. Did not like that. I like the green. So I'm going to actually do that on my tulips that I cut. The good thing is that it was so easy to make those tulips that if I messed them up, I could just cut a couple more. No big deal. I'm kind of using it to make it look like they're actual petals too. Like I'm going up and adding what would be a tiny bit of shadow. There it is, slowly slowly moving it up. Oh boy. And I am using Mod Podge again. It took me about an hour to complete this center collage piece, and then it took time to paint the frame and then varnish it. But I thought an hour to create this wasn't too bad. It is very simple, but when you have a lot of gel plate prints, I don't know why I'm struggling to say that today, gel plate prints, sorting through and finding the ones you want can be time consuming, and I tried my hardest not to overthink it. I just pulled like, I don't know, 10 or 12 sheets and did my best to not overthink it. I'm happy with that. What I was relaying there was I was thinking the light was coming from the top left, so I was thinking about the shadows that I want on the tulips. Again, I'm also trying to think, do I want shadow on the table? I decided not to put a shadow on the table because I liked how simple it was. And when I think about some, old school artists and such, I like that they don't have all those details in there. I like that it's simple, but yet impactful. And that's kind of what I wanted here. However, I did want a little bit of detail, so I put a little bit of yellow on those leaves, and I think that was great. I really, really like that addition. They're still very simple, but just a hint of lightness, or highlight, I should say. It is really taking shape. I really like it. I don't know what I'm thinking next. I guess I think I'm gonna put more detail on those petals. That's what I'm thinking. I really like the vase too. I like the stripes, and they're actually lines. So that is a piece of paper that I had for work, and I printed it out, and not all of the page was used up, so I tore off the confidential part for customers or clients or whatever you want to call them, and I put the scraps aside and gel printed on them, and it was great. I loved having that little addition. Now I'm going to think about what color I want to make the frame. Do I want it to be white or do I want it to be black? And I think they both look awesome. The white picks up the tulips, the black picks up the vase, and I decided I liked them. I like them both. Here I'm trying. Do I want to do white on the inside, black on the outside? Actually, it probably could have stayed that natural color, honestly. If the person that received this doesn't like it, they can change it too. That's the fun thing. They can just paint it. They can paint it blue if they want. So I pulled out I love that flamingo so much. I pulled that out and look how that black does look nice. It does. And then I realized I actually have a black frame handy, and I have a white matte handy. Why am I not using them? So here they go. That looks good. That looks good. But so does that. It's really hard. That pulls out the tulip and it pulls out the white on the vase. But that enhances the blue in the vase and the lines on the vase. So what do I want to be the star? I want the tulips to be the star. So I'm going to paint it white. But oh, and I also had to decide if I wanted to use gloss varnish or matte medium to cover. So I did a little sample. It was kind of hard to see there, but I determined to do the gloss. But I wanted a little extra something on the tulip. So I went and got my iridescent paint, iridescent pearl. And I put it on a piece of white, and then I put a little bit of gloss varnish on top to make sure I would still be able to see it, and you could. So I decided to just put a little bit of accent on those tulips of the iridescent pearl. Again, I just didn't want them to be flat. And I like that. I think it turned out nice. And then I thought, ooh, I could put it on the top here. That's like a torn edge, and I really liked it for the tip of the vase. And I thought, oh, maybe I could accent that, and I think that was a great addition. I feel like, and here I'm explaining, I didn't round the bottom because I liked the the straight lines across, and I thought it would enhance that. I love the wonkiness of the vase. I love how it's not perfect, like it's homemade. And I think that's what I wanted to accent with that torn edge. So here I have painted the frame white and look at that. So cute. So cute. Okay, so I am going to Mod Podge the back of it and stick it in there best I can. I used a gloss varnish on top, and I did my best to get around the edges because they were curling up. So yeah, I'm explaining there, curling up. So I did my best to jam it all in there, and it is definitely stuck in now. It is solid. It is secure. I am going to add one more layer of varnish on top just to be safe with it. And I absolutely adore it. I kind of wish I was keeping it, but I'm not. I am taking it to the art exchange so someone else can enjoy it, and I'm going to see what's in there that I might want to bring home. If I think of it, I will record it and show you what is in the art exchange on another video, or maybe a short. Maybe I'll do a short. I don't know yet, but I'm going to be dropping it off in a few days, and I'm excited. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this. Have a great day. Oh, and please like and subscribe before you go. That would really help my channel. Thanks. Bye-bye.